Good morning and God bless, man. Today might be a long one. I did write a little bit longer than normal. So let's jump into it, man. But before we do, I do wish you a beautiful day. I do wish and pray that you're in the Bible, that you're applying the word, that you're stretching yourself, making yourself uncomfortable, trying to be better, trying to further push and quell that old man back into that coffin where he belongs, when he always trying to lift the lid and come out. So I hope you're on top of that. With that said, let's begin with January 5th devotion, James 1, verse 22. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. I've been to the hospital 2 times this week, man, not because anything's wrong with me, but because some friends ended up there and I didn't want them to be alone. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not writing this to pat myself on the back or make myself look good at all. There's actually a good message here today. There are many times, I couldn't pat myself on the back. There's many times when I've let people down. And even many more times when I thought that my prayer was enough, when I could have done more than just pray. So my hope is to share something a little deeper so that the next time we want to use prayer as the answer and leave it there at prayer's doorstep without any, action behind it, without any sacrifice behind it, that maybe we'll think twice and do a little more, man. And I think most of us understand the power of prayer. The Bible is really obviously expressive about that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that, to belittle prayer, that we all know the power of prayer. Prayer should always come first. I'm saying I understand the importance of it. We're told to pray continuously. We're told to pray together. But what are we going to do after we pray? You feel what I'm saying? I would imagine prayer sometimes has to turn into action sooner or later. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of noise at times. You know what I'm saying? And that isn't to say that our works is what's going to redeem any given situation. But sometimes we must act, It's like, imagine somebody saying they're hungry and your response is, I'll pray for you, when you got a kitchen full of food. Or somebody saying, I'm cold, and you say, I'll pray for you, and you got a closet full of jackets and sweaters and stuff. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense when we act like that. And so this is the action that I'm talking about. When I pulled up yesterday at the hospital, I greeted my friend and we prayed together. And no, I couldn't heal her, you know what I'm saying? But he specifically told me, because it was his wife that was in jeopardy. He specifically told me that my presence made a difference, He told me that when he reached out to his pastor and told him about his situation via text message, the pastor responded like, what happened? And when he texted back that his wife had to deal with some serious, life-threatening issues, the pastor never responded. James 1:22 continues on from today's daily verse, which is 21. It continues on and it says, anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like a man who looks in the mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. And I suggest you read on to James 1:25 to get the full thing. But consider this, man. Pondering, soul searching, extensive thinking is all a part of good theology, right? But we're called to do more at times, you know what I'm saying? Otherwise, don't we become like those other guys in the Bible with their pompous sacrifices and rituals that are attached to an utter lack of love and devotion and commitment and the will to dig in, So James 4:17 reads, anyone then who knows the good he ought to do and doesn't do it sins. And if we don't respond correctly because of self-interest, because it calls for us to give something that we're holding on to too tight, whether that's your time, whether that's your clothes, whether it's the food we were talking about, then that's a sin. Then we're self-centered, we're selfish, and this is how we fall victim to the sin of omission. So there's no question that we should pray. Don't misconstrue this message. 100% we should pray, but that prayer should be followed by a calm voice telling us what to do that is within our means, because God isn't going to ask you to give somebody $1 million if you ain't got $1 million. I mean, let's not be stupid about it, and let's not pretend and make these excuses of why we won't do something. If it's in your capability, even if it's something small, that small can lead to something big. So we shouldn't put the brakes or the limits on where God is trying to take us or where he's trying to move us because of this self-interest once again. So I just want y'all to consider that the next time somebody asks you to pray for them, or the next time that you're praying for somebody, can that prayer lead to action, man? It's very important.